Rode microphones are the official microphones of BeTerrific. Find out more at rodemic.com. Welcome to the Michael Artsis Show. I'm Michael Artsis. Thanks so much for joining us. Obviously, you can hear I have this crazy cold. I've lost my voice no matter what I do. The Fisherman's Friends, that apple cider vinegar, that didn't work. Tea with honey kind of maybe helped. Last night I was hanging with JT in the city, running around, doing some events, talking to some people, having some meetings. JT says, you got to try this new sports drink. It's called RAR. Like, Jack, what noise does a dinosaur make? RAR. That's what he would do. You got to try this. RAR. It's amazing. It's got coconut water base. It's hydrating. It's unbelievable, and lots of vitamin B in it. I was like, sure, whatever. I'm thirsty. I was looking for a Starbucks. The one across the street closed. We're at JT's car. Hands it to me. Look at this stuff. Unreal. RAR. Cool bottle. Actually worked. My throat stopped hurting me. And now I got my voice back enough to do the show. So check out RAR. I got to get a whole case of this. Pete, seriously, let's get this guy on the show, find out their story. Let's get cases and cases of this stuff in here. I want to drink it regularly so I don't lose my voice. RAR. And I think Jeremy was telling me it's available in stores, and not only in stores, but in schools, because it's a great alternative for kids to be able to drink because it's healthy. Something like that. The schools who are not letting unhealthy drinks in are now letting this in. I don't know. We're going to find out the whole deal because we're going to get RAR on. I demand it. Right, Pete? You're going to do this? You're going to set it up? Cases of this stuff in the office. And we got to get RAR on, find out their story, find out. I bet you it's a great business story. We got to find out what the deal is. RAR. All right, all I know is drinkrar.com is the site. I found that out. I don't know much more. Their flavors. That's it. We'll find out the whole deal. All right, I'm really excited about today. You know why I'm excited? Because we have an amazing guest on. This guy has become a great friend. He's a terrific tech genius, hosts an amazing show, and we have a lot of fun hanging out. We do a lot of stuff together, and of course you guys know him in the Geek Chat Room and everywhere else. John P. is joining us from GeekBeat TV and the Livid Lobster production company. John, thanks so much for joining us. By the way, I want to tell everybody, I am in the IRC chat room for GeekBeat. We're also on our IRC underneath the BeTerrific.com/live video player. So the video player on BeTerrific.com/live. Go under there, jump in the IRC, ask whatever questions you want. BeTerrific, at BeTerrific TV on Instagram and Twitter. Connect at BeTerrific.com. And, of course, I'm at Michael Artsis. That's John P. He's on. I'm excited. John, thanks so much for joining us.
Well, thank you so much. I'm not sure I deserved all that, lead up, but we'll have fun no matter what.
Well, first of all, you've built an amazing community with GeekBeat, and you've done something really special. You guys have a great community of fans and followers that you include and you make like family. Second of all, you built the amazing Geek House. I was at the opening, helped host that with you guys, and that place is spectacular and a lot of fun. And thirdly, and most importantly, you guys do great programming and have really, you and Callie have built this thing up with a wonderful team that includes Dave Peterson, Gord, Dave Curley, Ben, of course, and Dave Foster, and Scott, and all these guys. You guys have built up an amazing organization and team to put out and churn out some amazing content. So thank you so much for joining us, and you definitely deserve those accolades.
Well, it's my pleasure. I enjoy being here. We always have a good time.
Is your favorite song still "I'm on a Boat," and how did that become your favorite song?
You know, it is definitely one of my favorite of songs. I think the "I'm on a Boat" is just so outrageous, and it's so comedic, and it's got a good beat, and I like the video, so that was it. I also like a song from Spose called "I'm Awesome," and for anyone who's familiar with that song, actually knows that he's not really very awesome, but that's the whole point of it. So I tend to enjoy those kind of songs that are really kind of crazy and funny and self-deprecating. They are deprecating, whichever word
you got
it is.
Deprecating, yeah.
They resonate with me. I just enjoy it. But I don't really listen to those songs very much. We talk about it a lot on the show, and we make jokes about it. but it's not like when I go home, I turn that on in my car or anything. It's
Sure, sure. I know you do.
boring than that.
That was the thing when you and I went cruising in the vet. You turned that on.
I
That was
probably did.
that was an amazing video. We went cruising in this the Stingray at the Geek House opening. Unbelievable, a lot of fun. I know you like cars. We're gonna get into that, but I know you're a tech guy. What was the first piece of tech that got you into tech? Where you were like, wow. I mean, I'm a tech fanatic. When you realize this is it.
Yeah, I guess, it's hard to say exactly. My father worked at Texas Instruments when I was a little kid. He was an engineer. And even before bringing home gadgets, actual things, he used to bring home bags of transistors and later IC circuit wafers and things. And I just thought they were so cool, just on an individual component level. And the funny thing is, my dad, although he was engineering the parts that would go into all of these gadgety things that we now have today, he completely doesn't get any of it. He can engineer the transistors and later, more advanced stuff, but he just didn't know what was being done with them. So it's kind of funny that I didn't really know anything about these little bags of parts he was bringing home, and he knew everything about those. And then I started getting gadgets, and he couldn't work any of them, and I knew everything about those. So it was just this weird kind of changing of the guard there.
That is pretty funny. Was it a graphing calculator? Was there anything special that you remember? Like, I imagine him bringing home, all these parts, but also bringing home some cool toys, especially these crazy calculators that Texas
Yeah.
Instruments has always been famous for.
Yeah, he did. He brought home all those crazy calculators, and then of course my friends and I would learn how to do stupid things like turn them upside down and write sleep with the by type or whatever.
Do you remember the one, the Dolly Parton one? So the
Yes.
TI-83 and the Dolly Parton one at the end, like Dolly Parton was walking down 42nd Street. She realized her boobs were too big. She had them reduced by 8 times, and somehow it spelled boobless.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that was early hacking, right? I mean, that's
Yes.
kind of like early day hacking when you're messing with calculators. But later, my dad actually got me a TI 99 4A computer, which was one of the very first personal computers ever. This was so long ago that it was before floppy drives. You couldn't even store, you actually had to buy a cassette tape player to hook up to this thing. And if you wanted to save something that you had programmed in TI Basic, you'd have to hit record on the cassette player and you'd have to like do some crazy thing to have it audibly save this program onto a tape. And then later, if you wanted to load it back in, you had to reverse that process. But that TI 994A was when I got hooked because it came with a little book, and the book had basic programs that you could write. And I remember one specifically was called Mr. Bojangles, and you program it in, and it made this little guy that would, like a little 16 pixel guy that would dance on the screen,
That's awesome.
and that was it.
No, that's amazing. Such a great story. I remember this computer. My friend Jesse Boskoff, when I was a kid, I would go over to his house and we'd play baseball, home run derby in his backyard. His dad put in lights all night long,
Wow.
and yeah, and it was unbelievable. And then his dad would tinker with computers. And first it was like a Commodore 64, and then he built, I guess it was a PC, I don't even know, but he had these drives to store stuff on that literally were like those X-ray cartridges that they load in that are like, this, huge. I can't show it on the double shot, but they were
Yeah.
huge, right? Like this big. And you
Yeah.
like load this thing in, and he had like one and then a redundant one. And I remember him hacking this thing all day long, and then we'd play like a game on it, and this whole thing held like one little like California Games or something like that. It wasn't even that advanced then.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, back then you'd have to do tremendous amounts of work to have some very simplistic kind of application running, and then you were lucky if you could save it, and if you couldn't save it, then you left the machine running for days or however long you could stand to leave it running, And eventually when you turned it off, everything was gone and you started back over, you know. So
Um,
those were the very early days.
yes, absolutely. My biggest thing was I think I had 64 megabytes of RAM at some point, and that was like huge.
Kilobytes.
Kilobytes probably. And I remember running Wing Commander at some point, which was amazing. Did you ever play on the TI-83? Rolly Raw writes in, did you ever play Free Fall on the TI-83, which was a Texas Instruments calculator and was the only video game apparently available for that?
I think I did, but I just can't remember. My dad would bring home all the TI calculators. Since he worked there, we got
Yeah.
all of them. That was the one thing that I had everyone beat on, you know, was I always had the best calculator. So I'm sure I did. I just can't remember it very
They
well.
had these little ones that were like square that were really cool because they were like almost like that, I guess like a scientific one, but or a miniature scientific one, kind of like in a square with only one row of numbers. But I remember that one too, and it was like the first really pocketable one you could put in your wallet. I guess it was for like auto finance guys and stuff, which I remember was crazy. You guys must have had a lot of fun with that. I remember feeling like James Bond with all these devices when they'd come out. And you'd bring it to school or you'd get your hands on one. I remember having like, one of the early Sharp. What was that Sharp? I know you had this because you and I have talked about it. What was that Sharp device that was like almost like a Palm Pilot, way before the Palm Pilot?
Yeah. Oh,
It was like a clamshell.
yeah. I
Somebody's
forgot
got
what
to
it's
write
called.
in. I don't remember what that was. That thing was unbelievable. It was like 128 kbits of memory or something ridiculous. Uh,
We
how,
spent so much money on all that junk, you know, and it didn't last. I mean, it's funny because we still do it, right? Every
yes.
year you got to get the new phone, you got to get the new tablet. Every 2 to 3 years you get a new computer, and we just keep loading more junk on it, and it takes all this time and energy, and you know, you're just gonna repeat history over and over.
Well, you hustled me into the iPhone 6 Plus because I saw you at CCW and you said, "Hey, why aren't you rocking the iPhone 6 Plus?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm going to go Android this time." And you were like, "No, with the watch coming out." And that was it. I was like, "You're right. With the watch coming out, it's got to be a 6 Plus." My
When
phone
is
was
the watch
dying. I'm
coming?
like, "It's time," and I can't wait for that watch.
Yeah.
How did you go from that? What was your next step? You go to college. What did you do after college? What was your first job?
Yeah, the funny thing is, so I actually went from I started out in retail when I was really young. You know, I did retail
What
sales
did you
like
do? I
like
did.
all young people.
What did you do for retail? My retail job was Jerry Cosby Sporting Goods in Madison Square Garden, and I sold hockey equipment. I was
Okay.
14, 15. What did you do? What was your retail job?
I got a job working at a place called Jeans West. I don't know if they were nationwide. I don't know if they were in the mall. It was one of these mall clothing stores, you know. And they hired me and I was really young. And I think after something like I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks there, they promoted me to like I only got a part-time job, and then they promoted me to assistant store manager. I didn't even want to be a I didn't want to be a full-timer, and they promoted me to assistant store manager. I was like, well, I guess I'll do that because why not, right? And I worked there for I don't know, maybe a year or a year and a half, something like that, and I still remember the guy I worked for. His name was James Emmert, the coolest guy I've ever worked for in my life. I love that guy. Anyway, I worked there for a while, and I was going to community college, and then one thing that some people know this about me, some people don't. I got married really, really young. So Holly, my wife, she and I, we knew each other in high school,
Wow.
although we didn't really date. We were just friends. And then after high school, I went to the Marine Corps. And unfortunately, I broke my legs. I got out of the Marines. That's when I got that job. And sometime around then, Holly also actually decided she would date me. So uh, I was working there, but at the same time going to community college. And Holly and I decided to get married when we were both 19. And so I kept working while she went to school, to college full time. Somebody had to, you know, help, support the family. So I did that. So I got a later start at really going to college after Holly did, and I worked at Jeans West in retail for a while, and then I went to work at Texas Instruments. But the funny thing is, I wasn't doing anything technical there. I was in their purchasing department. And then when Holly finished up her degree and I went back to college, when I went full time, I went to UTD here in Dallas, which is a great school, by the way, if anybody's considering them. I did not study anything technical. I studied finance and economics. So the funny thing is, while I was doing all of these things that were financial related, and studying that kind of stuff in school, uh, my passion was still with other things. So as you mentioned, I'm a car guy,
Yeah.
and really, I think of cars as being kind of the precursor to the gadgets we have nowadays. I mean, tech. You used to have technology in cars. What kind of engine does it have, and what kind of carburetor does it have, and what kind of fuel pump are you running, and what kind of rear end, and that's what guys talked about when we didn't have iPods and junk like that, I guess.
What was the first car you had? I mean I knew this before, but I know now you had to have modified one of your cars, especially early on. I'm talking headers, I'm talking pipes, I'm talking wheels, which back then I don't know were they called rims, and then I'm talking air filters, superchargers.
Oh yeah.
I mean, what did you do?
Oh, I did all kinds of stupid stuff. I mean,
It's always stupid.
of course, because first, when you first get into it, you're so young, you can't afford all that other good stuff.
And you're like, oh, a K&N air filter, 10
Yeah.
more horsepower, bolt this thing on.
Yeah, or a thrush muffler, or something like that, which sounds really great. You wanted to lower your vehicle a little bit. You couldn't afford to actually go buy a lowering kit and all that stuff, so you could go to Pep Boys and get some spring compressor things that you'd put around the springs on your car to lower it, which really just made it lower, but it made it ride really crappy. So I did all that stupid stuff. But then later I got a little more adventurous, and I remember I swapped out a carburetor, like a 2 barrel for a 4 barrel carburetor, and I thought that was going to be so cool. And then after that, because I was still poor, I realized just how much more gas this thing now consumed. So that wasn't worth it. But uh,
But
yeah, did all that kind of
it was
all
all
that kind
good
of
fun.
crazy stuff.
And you love tinkering with your hands. You love working with your hands. You build all sorts of stuff. You built the set of GeekBeat.
Yeah,
You build. I've heard you build a kayak that's motorized, which I got to hear about. But
yeah.
I mean, do you work on your own cars? Because I can't. I tried. I had a Wrangler. That was my first car. I had the light kit. I had a sound system. I had the big wheels.
Oh yeah,
I had all the stupid stuff. I spent money on a shift knob, on a Momo shift knob.
of
Okay,
course.
of course, right? Like
Just
what?
well spent.
Yeah, yeah. The chicks are gonna dig the shift knob.
Uh-huh.
Um, and and then I go and I flip the car.
Oh, of course.
But before I did that, I had the mirrors. So the one thing about the Wrangler back then, this was amazing. The mirrors were on ball bearings, right? And so you tighten the ball bearings, and then you get to 60, and the mirror would start to fold down, and so you tighten it more. And so I would be an idiot and try and go 100 in a Wrangler, and the mirror would fold down like this, and that was awful. So I'm trying to tighten the mirror one day. I bought new mirrors, and I put them on, and I try and tighten them. These are better mirrors, and I snapped the whole thing. My hand cut my hand up. I
Uh,
realized, you know what? Fixing cars, it's not
you
my
decided it
thing.
wasn't your thing.
Yeah, so I'd love to fix cars, but I can't. But you do, right? You've done your own work.
I, I have pretty much messed with everything, not just cars, but I mean, if it has a motor or burns gas or uses electricity, I am not afraid to take it apart, and I probably have at one point or another. And I think I'm kind of fearless in that regard because I've never really been afraid of breaking something. The way I look at it is, I look at it as education is expensive, no matter how you get it. And believe me, I've gotten it everywhere. I went to Harvard, that was very expensive from a monetary standpoint. And then I've not gone to, I've learned other things by by trial and error, by breaking something and then having to redo it, that's expensive. So I've always just approached life as if life itself is expensive. So I might as well learn something from it.
Yes, it definitely is expensive. I couldn't agree more. And I find every time you think you're getting ahead, you just are in the same spot. Um, and so you went to Harvard. I didn't even know that.
I did, yeah.
You did the business school.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I've actually had some studies at both Harvard Business School and Harvard Law School. So various.
What year? My brother-in-law was there in I guess 85, 86. He went to the he did a JD MBA and law at the same time with the Kennedy thing, business school, whatever.
Yeah.
And he did I guess it was like let's see, 85, 86, 87, something like that.
Mine was later because mine was part of an executive education program.
Okay.
So what happened was I was director at a company called Cable and Wireless, and I was running all their North American sales. And they wanted me to do some other stuff to, uh, career advancement kind of things.
That's
I've done.
awesome. What was Harvard like? I can't even picture like going there. I to me that's like the holy grail. That would be like going to Toronto to watch a hockey game in Maple Leaf Gardens, which doesn't exist anymore. That would be like watching a boxing match, which I've done at Madison Square Garden, the Mecca.
Yeah.
Um, I, to me, this is the mecca of education. I know you could argue about, other schools, including MIT and all this stuff, but Harvard, that's the name. So what's it like
I
going
think
there?
so. I think in North America, uh, to me, Harvard is the pinnacle. And yes, you're right. There are great schools, but I don't think in North America there's another school that quite, when you say the word Harvard, it doesn't, nothing else quite conjures up that same image. You might argue that if we go across the pond, in some place like Cambridge or Oxford or something, it's similar. But when I first found out they would even let me go to Harvard, surprise, and the company paid for it for me to do so as well. I was absolutely thrilled and honored, and I took it very seriously because I was an adult. I was about 30 at the time, I guess, and I really wanted to get something out of it. I wanted to do networking there, and I wanted to learn as much as I could. So I took it very seriously. And I will say it was as hard as you would expect. It was really, really hard. I know that for undergraduates, in fact, I would say it would be even harder to go there as a young person, as an undergraduate, like straight out of high school, go to Harvard. You have never had to work so hard in your life. At least for me, I was already, I was a decade into a career. I was a fairly highly ranking person. I had hundreds of employees. I had a lot of experience, and I had a lot of information that I'd already learned over all this period of time. So when I went there to take classes and we were talking about uh, anything from, leadership type discussions to financial discussions, it didn't matter. I already had a lot of knowledge that I could pull from and help relate to the things we discussed. And that helped. I think going there and being even younger would, I don't know how they do it, but it was very, very hard because the amount of homework we had every night, it was exactly what you'd expect. We would go to school all day, learning all day, then you'd have 100 pages you had to read at night, plus homework stuff to prepare for the next day, and it was like that every single day, and it was rough. There's no doubt about it, but it
That's
was also very, very worth it and very worthwhile. I have found that in my life, all of the things that I have done that have been the hardest things I've ever done, um, going all the way back to the Marine Corps, have also been the most valuable things. So having had that experience, I don't shy away from anything just because it's hard.
I couldn't agree with that with you more on that, and I think that that's awesome advice for everybody that never shy away from anything hard. I think that that's great. First of all, I want to stop you for a second. I want to continue on this path, but I want to stop you for a second. I love the Harvard talk and all the insight there, and I'm I'm not surprised it's everything we expect it to be, and I think it's awesome you went there. But I want to stop it for 1 second to say, I didn't get a chance to say this before. I've said this to you personally, but you served, and I want to say thank you. It's so important. You protected our freedom. You defended our freedom, and I can't thank you enough. So thank you. You know.
We owe a lot of thanks to all of those fine men and women who serve in the military and keep us free, and not just in the U.S. but other countries as well. That take care of their citizens. So yeah, I thank you, and thank you to all those other people who've done far more and given far more in defense of their nations than I ever was asked to do.
Yes, and you couldn't have said it better. And on the tail end of that, later I want to say something about what's happening with Brian Williams, because I will say this: I think it's atrocious what he has done, and I'm deeply saddened and hurt because he was somebody that I worked under and looked up to, and I won't get into it now. I'll get into it later, but I just don't even understand that. For ratings, really? All right, we'll talk about that later. John, the chat room's going nuts about a couple questions. So first is, tell me, we're going to get back to this, but tell me about the kayak with the motor and how that came about and what the deal is and how do I get on a kayak with a motor?
Well, I think the thing is, Callie and I am an outdoorsy kind of guy. I enjoy outdoorsy stuff. And I like to be lazy at the same time. And so we got some kayaks, and we were taking them out on the lake, and it's a lot of work. I mean, just we've got a lot of lakes here around Dallas, and just sitting there paddling, and it was really a lot of exercise. And I said, I sure wish that we could go a lot further and faster, but I'm not willing to do more work, to make that happen. And so I just kind of had this idea, because all these boats are going by us on the lake. I was like, well, why wouldn't we just put a motor on one of these, And of course, she thought I was insane, but that's okay, because I am. So instead of just bolting a motor on a kayak, what I decided to do was strap two kayaks together and put a motor on that. And so I kind of invented something. I called it a catamayak, because it was kind of like a catamaran made out of kayaks. And yeah, I got a little electric trolling motor, and I got a big car, like a deep cycle battery for boats. And I wired it all up. And then bang, I had a two-person motorized kayak.
It is like a catamaran. That's what I was going to say, and that sounds pretty unbelievable. I think we've got to see a picture or video of that. Have you posted that anywhere?
Oh, yeah. In fact, somewhere, probably on my blog over at onemansblog.com. I'll have to look here, but I think I have.
That's pretty unbelievable. I'm impressed by that. I think that.
Yeah,
I think that's
it's
cool.
called. In fact, it's called. I've got a post on my blog called "Catamayak: How to Build a Kayak Catamaran."
It's unbelievable. How long did it take you to build?
Well, first I had to think about how to do it. Then I had to gather all the parts for it. The actual physical construction was probably about, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 hours of work. But the problem was that I did all these things. Like, I wanted to be able to, for example, strap this thing onto kayaks, but then be able to remove it so that I didn't permanently mount something or damage the kayaks, because those things aren't cheap. So I had to kind of engineer it and play with it a bit. So it really took me maybe a week or so to go get parts and order things off the web and do all this stuff to build it. But in actual, if I had everything together, and if I was going to do it again, I could probably do it in 4 or 5 hours.
Excellent. That's pretty cool. I almost feel like that's something you could sell. All right, so let's get back. You're at Harvard now. You got your career's in full swing. You're doing great. And what about the next move for you? You're head of sales. You got 400 people under you. You're pumping. What's next?
Well, the funny thing is that my career was mostly. But basically, my entire profession was dealing with sales and customers and it was all in and around the internet infrastructure space. So I was I went to Harvard when I was working with Cable and Wireless, which is one of the biggest telecom companies in the world, and after I was with them for a few years, I was recruited away to another company called Savvis Communications, and same thing, running sales and customer service for them. This time as a vice president. I was about maybe 31 or something. I was very young to kind of have moved up the ranks so quickly. Actually, no, I think I was 30. I was 30 when I finally got a VP title. A VP in a pretty significant sized company. It's not like a small company. So
It's pretty
that was a
good
big
at
deal.
30. That's impressive.
Yeah, that was a big deal. And I actually made director when I was in my late 20s, which just doesn't happen. When I was the youngest director ever in the history of cable and wireless. So that was kind of a big deal as well. So I rapidly advanced through some of these careers, and mainly it was because I was good at selling stuff and good at helping teach other people how to sell stuff. And so I basically moved from one company to the next. I mean, not a lot. This only happened like I was with three different companies, but uh, just advancing the career, moving up the food chain, if you will, until it culminated with several years of serving at Savvis, and then I decided that I didn't want to work anymore. So at the ripe old age of 34, I threw in the towel and retired.
Wow.
So at least I thought I was going to retire, and but I did retire and I stopped working, and that's when I decided I wanted to just do fun stuff. So I traveled and I went to welding school and learned how to become a welder, and I started.
It seems like I swear to you, it seems like everybody who retires early goes to welding school. I've heard that story a million times. For every guy who's told me, oh, I
That's
retired
funny.
early, I hear, oh, I went to welding school.
I'd never known anybody who'd done that, so that's awesome. But yeah, I didn't have anything else to do, and so I decided to do that. I went to welding school and I started building things and fabricating stuff and doing some art and things like that. And it really, I was doing that for a couple of years, just having a good time. And then people from my past started calling me up saying, "Hey, I need help with this or that." And like my old CEO called me from Savvis and said, "Hey, I've got this other company over here. Can you come over and take a look at this stuff that's going on and maybe help out a little bit?" And I thought the whole intention was just for me to go over there and literally just kind of, we'll use the word consult, although I wasn't even trying to do that. Just kind of be nice and give them opinions and stuff. And that turned into a job as a chief marketing officer. So I did that for a little while, and then I had another opportunity with some friends, with Ellie and Jod, to start this web analytics company called Woopra, which is still around and still doing great. And somehow I
How
did that, and
how'd you
that
hook
went on
up?
for.
How'd you meet Callie? How'd you hook up with Callie, and how'd you start doing GeekBeat? How'd you start doing this stuff? I mean, to me, it seems like the furthest thing from your mind, from your life. Yes, you're into tech and you're into gadgets, but oh, there we've got a picture of you and Callie. It looks like on the catamaran
Nice.
kayak, we'll call it motorized kayak. Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun. Well, we met because I had started, in fact, speaking of my little blog there where you probably found that picture, I was doing this blog. I had gotten, I don't know why, I guess when I was doing my welding and my art and I was bored, I had nothing else to do. I started this blog at onemansblog.com, and it got really popular. I was getting like 1 million views a month on my website, and it's still to this day quite popular, even though I haven't done as much on it. And I decided to run a WordPress conference here in Dallas because I just loved WordPress and I used it and I thought it'd be fun to be part of the community. And it was at that time a co-organizer said we should get Callie Lewis to speak at this event. I said, okay, whatever. I don't know who that is, but that's fine. And that's when we met. And and After that, we became friends. And actually, Callie and her husband at the time, and my wife and I, we all became best friends. We did stuff all the time. And then, you flash forward, Callie she wanted to do more than that. She was just doing this show with her husband, and it was just the two of them, and it was hard, and she wanted something bigger than that. And she's my best friend. So when your best friend says that they have some goals that they want to achieve, and you have the ability to help them achieve those goals, then you kind of have an obligation to do so, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you absolutely do. I always believe in helping friends and, getting involved with friends and giving them advice and, yeah, absolutely. I think I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, you know what? I never knew this story, and I love this story. I think it's such a great story. It's I mean, we love telling stories at BeTerrific, so that's what BeTerrific's about. I love this. So she's like, hey, I really want to do this. I want to make it bigger. I have this whole vision. And you said, what? I can help you?
Yeah, I mean, basically, yeah. I mean, that's what happened. She wanted to do more, and she wanted to grow something, and she wanted something that would be more substantial and long term. And so, I said, okay, well, if you want this to be long term, we've got to get other people involved. We've got to think really big, we've got to make it so that eventually it's not just you. It's you and other people. And uh, you know, and that was going to require a lot of time and investment and everything else. And so we sat down, we talked about that, and that's what she wanted to do. And I said, well, then I want to help you do that. And fortunately, I was in a position because I didn't really have to do anything, uh, and so I stopped whatever I wasn't doing, and we teamed up, and it's been great. We've been having fun. That was almost 5 years ago,
Wow.
and 1,000 episodes of GeekBeat ago, and lots more. As you mentioned, we built this building, and we've got a lot of people involved, and we have this wonderful community that supports everything. And honestly, it's all been in support of building this particular dream. And so I feel honored that our community has allowed us to do that, and I feel grateful that uh, it's really been we've been able to achieve a lot of this vision that Callie had, that we set out for, and what can I say? Life for me is good. It's good to be John P, because we just have fun and do whatever and help people, and I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, no, it definitely is a lot of fun, and I've had a lot of fun hanging out with you. And you guys have done something really amazing and built such a wonderful community. The Geek House is unbelievable. The people in the community are wonderful. I mean, they're all writing in now too, and participating. Some questions are coming in from Digital Phil and Paul Dixon, and of course Ben. Ben put up your blog so that we could get it out to everyone, which was awesome. Talk about the future. This actually comes from DP, but I was going to ask this question as well. So talk about the future of GeekBeat and what your vision is for it. And Brian wanted to know that as well.
Well, I mean, again, so if we go back a little bit and we talk about where we're at today, this is really Callie's vision of the future that I have been helping her execute on. So I would say, asking me what the vision for GeekBeat for the long-term future, I'm not really the right person to even ask about that. I think Callie's more appropriate to ask, because what she says she wants to achieve, that is what I'm backing. That is where I'm going.
All right, hold
But
on.
yeah,
No
go ahead.
problem. I'm going to make a note right now.
Yeah,
When we have Callie on, and we're going to have her on soon, when we have
yeah,
her on, I'm going to ask her that question. How about
yeah.
that?
Do it.
All right.
Now, having said that, I believe that the vision remains the same, which is, continue to build out the brand, continue to expand the audience. And when we say expand the audience, we mean grow the community, right? So we want more people to experience what we all do and how we do it with one another. We want to make good, compelling content that helps people stay up to date with the things that they want to know about, and also teaches people things and entertains people. And we want to have fun. So, if you ask me personally what I want for GeekBeat, I want Callie, and I won't name everybody, but all of the people who are part of our team, I want all of these people to have a future that is secure and fun, and they're happy. That's what I want.
Right.
And so, we achieve that by doing things for other people and by making other people happy. That's what I believe.
Awesome. I like that vision a lot, and I'll follow up with Callie on that. I was just informed Monday Callie will be on, so
Nice.
that's awesome. And I really do like that vision, and I like that we syndicate with you guys and do a lot of stuff with you guys, and I like that we're part of the family as well. And I feel like you guys are part of the BeTerrific family, so I love it. I love what you guys are doing, and I think it's awesome. I was just thinking about Jill, my wife, Mrs. Artsis. She's watching with my son Jack. Jack, what noise does a dinosaur make? Rawr. She's watching with my son Jack now, and she loves BeTerrific. She loves what it stands for. She's very supportive of it. What does Holly think of all this, especially since you were supposed to retire, and I imagine spend a little bit more time with her?
Well, so Holly, for everyone who knows Holly and has had any exposure to her over the years, first of all, everybody knows that she is definitely the better half. I mean, no doubt about it. She is amazing, and everyone loves Holly. She is also incredibly patient, and she's kind, and she's very easy to get along with and go with the flow. And where I can be kind of fiery and hot tempered sometimes, she evens everything out. So everything that I have ever achieved in my life, and I absolutely mean this, we can attribute to her being there for me as my rock. She keeps me grounded and stable.
I really believe that. I believe that every good man has a good woman behind them, and I mean that sincerely. It's not a joke. And I think that they make a lot of things happen. They pave the way. They make life easier in many ways, and they do a great job as a rock, like you said.
Yeah.
What is Holly like? Because I've met her. She seems like an awesome woman, but what is she like?
She's actually, I'm pretty extroverted. I'm very outgoing, and that's one of the reasons why sales was a good career for me. She is a little more introverted, but she's very smart. She's got a master's degree. She's an HR professional, so she's a great listener.
Oh, I would totally stay away from her.
Yeah, exactly. She's very kind, and just sweet, and of course pretty, and she's very petite. And so when you look at her, she's this beautiful petite, little woman who is a great listener, and so people just really they fall in love with her very quickly, and they trust her very quickly, which is why HR is also a very good field for her to be in.
Holly and I had a great experience. First of all, she's very welcoming. We went to like Kmart, Walmart together to get ice chests when I was out there, and it was very interesting because I took over very New York style, and I'm quarterbacking this thing and running the show, and like I got the guys bringing the stuff to the truck. We're not carrying this stuff, but she
Yeah.
was so welcoming, and she was so awesome, and she was like, "What?" And then I'm like, "Hey, I don't know, is it okay here to tip people like this?" And she's like, I don't, I've never done anything like this." And I'm like, "All right, I got this." And it was so funny because she's like, "Well, but you could tell, like I was like, oh, I'm totally New York here. I just took over, right? But we got the job done, and she was amazing. She's so warm and welcoming, and Ben just wrote in, she's the coolest person in the world.
Yeah, she is.
And I can certainly see that. She's definitely cool. What about you? You said you retired because you didn't want to work anymore, and here you are. You're going to a job Monday through Friday.
Yeah, well, more like Monday through Sunday. We do a lot of work.
That's true.
Yeah, just to finish up on that thought with Holly, because it leads into this other part. Um, she's been supportive, and she doesn't care what I do as long as it makes me happy. We worked the first 20 years of our lives together really, really hard to make sure we were in a position that either of us could do anything we wanted or nothing, whatever we wanted to do. And so she wants to do the things she's doing. She works as I said, as an HR professional, and she loves that, and she loves working with people. And her position is, as long as I'm having fun and enjoying things, then great. Now, as far as me coming to work every day, the things that I do on a day-to-day basis are pretty awesome. Okay. I get to play with toys. I get to travel. I get to work with awesome people. If you're going to go to work, this is the way to do it. Having said that, I probably will not do this forever because, as we've already seen, and I've got a history of having demonstrated, I've retired like 3 times now. Okay, so I think that eventually, when I'm not as needed around here and I can do other things on my own, maybe one day I start doing some other stuff. But it's hard to say exactly because the kind of stuff that I would be doing, I have found the ability to do those things while being here and part of all of this. So I don't know.
That's kind of amazing. I'm surprised you say that because I believe, the first part, when you say how much fun you're having, I totally get that. And I remember early on in my career, I interviewed Cousin Brucey, and I said something to him, and he said, I can't believe that they pay me to do this. It doesn't feel like a business. It doesn't feel like a career. It feels like fun. I get paid to have fun every day. I'm so passionate about what we do. I can't imagine doing anything else. If I won the lottery tomorrow, and I'm talking like mega jackpot, $1 billion, right?
Yeah.
I would do nothing different. I might take some more days off. I might spend some more time with my family. I definitely would. But I definitely would do this. So I'm surprised that you say, like, yeah, I don't know that I would do this forever, because I also know you love it too, especially playing with the gadgets. So let's talk about that. CES, what do you think was the most innovative thing you saw, most impressive thing you saw there?
Oh, let's see. I think I think one of the things I'm most excited about, there were a lot of impressive things, but one of the things I was most excited about that was surprising to me was we had the guys from BMW come on the show, and they talked to us about some of the new innovative stuff that's going on with their vehicles. And I really cannot wait for this future where, for example, I could pull up an app on my phone and tell my car I'm ready to go now, and my car, which has self-parked itself, drives over and picks me up, and then I get in and drive off. And then maybe I tell my car where I want to go, and my car is cloud connected and thinks bigger than just itself. My car thinks, for example, well, you want to go to this place actually because there's really heavy traffic right now, and all this other stuff's going on. It would be faster if we drove to, let's say, the train station, and you get out of the car and take the train into wherever you want to be. So I'm really looking forward to this connected future where everything is looking out for us and doing things to free us up and make our lives a little more enjoyable. That's to me what's most exciting.
I'm very excited about the car technology, the driving cars that drive themselves. I mean, people think I'm crazy. I want to be driven, and it's not like an ego thing. I could be so much more efficient. First of all, I could rest, recharge, and sleep in the car. Number
Yeah.
two, I could do a lot more business in the car and be a lot more connected to that business and focused on that business, both writing emails, doing proposals, and talking on the phone. And then I feel like by doing that, I'd spend more time with my family and connected with them because I wouldn't be so connected. And I love them so much, I would be able to actually connect with them more instead of checking my phone every second, although that's probably just a fantasy. But I mean, the reality is we have so much limited time in our days that to be able to do that, especially in metropolitan areas, you and I talked about how when you have to go to Austin, it's such a long traffic-driven drive, and I'm in the New York metro area, I spend so much time in traffic. To have a car that takes care of that for me so that I can actually focus on other things would be great. But I feel like all this stuff we're talking about is such a fantasy. It's the George Jetson flying car that folds up into a briefcase we've been promised since the 60s. You feel it's really around the corner?
Well, the difference between what we've been promised for years and years and years is that we actually are seeing these things in real life right now. They exist. The barriers to entry are have been removed. Now it's an implementation problem, and we see some of this stuff trickling down. I already have a Ford vehicle that will drive itself down the road. It literally, I can take my hands off the wheel, take my feet off the pedals, and it will drive itself, steering, brakes.
Wait. This is the car I was in?
Yes,
This car will drive itself?
it will. It has the same kind of technology in the steering wheel that they have in airplanes now. It's a drive-by-wire. It's an electric steering wheel, electric brakes, electric gas throttle. Okay, these things are not even connected to anything other than sensors. So my car has a forward-facing camera. It's got radar all around it.
Wait. John, you didn't show
Yeah.
me this. How did you not show me this? This is
I
the
don't
Ford
know.
Fusion, right? It's a Ford Fusion.
Fusion Energy Hybrid. Yes, the top of the line model comes with all these features built in. Now, what this technically speaking, the technology that the car offers is lane keeping assist.
Right.
So what that means is when, let's say you're on the highway and the cameras see the lines, the divided, lines down the road, they know where the lane is, and they know the car is aware of where other vehicles are in proximity to it and things like that. And so what happens is, let's say you're distracted for some reason, you're driving and you start to kind of swerve over one of the lines. The electric steering in the car actually steers the car back into the lane, and it gives you a little vibration alert in the steering wheel saying, hey, wake up, keep your, whatever. But that's what the car is designed to do, is to augment your driving. However, if you take your hands completely off the wheel while you're driving down the highway, it will continue to steer itself down the road, even if it's curving and doing everything else. Now, every time I say this, the guys at Ford get pissed off at me because they don't want people doing that. But I have actually taken my hands off the road.
You're
And
nuts.
let the car drive for miles. Now, the whole time it's saying, put your hands back on the steering wheel, put your hand, it's not happy about it, but it will keep doing it.
I love that you're like, first of all, I knew as you were telling this that you've definitely experimented with it, and I love that you're like, hey ma, no hands and no feet. Check it out. That's unbelievable, John. That's pretty crazy. I'm really excited for the cars that drive themselves. I got to check this out next time we're together, or
Yeah.
I'm your way. That's pretty awesome. I like that, John. What about the tech you're most excited for in general? So that was the tech maybe you're most impressed by at CES, but what are you most excited for?
I'm kind of numb to new technologies. They don't excite me so much anymore. I'm back to things that I personally really enjoy. But if I were going to say categorically speaking, what am I most kind of excited about? It would be, believe it or not, health and fitness related tech.
You're big into health and fitness right now. You've got the whole Geek Fit. I know you've got, you're just going nuts with that. I've started to get more in the last few years into eating healthy and being more healthy. I'd like to get more active. I got several activity, trackers now that I'm playing with, and I like them. I notice my heart rate is much different. Like you could take it now and, it's 72 in 2 minutes. It could be 119, and I realize that our heart rate changes throughout the day as opposed to just,
Yeah.
I'm 72, I'm resting.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think this is what I'm excited about with regards to medical type of, health and fitness and medical technology, is that there's so much we are trapped. We live in this shell of a human body all day, every day. And there is so much we don't even know or understand about our bodies. And we now have the technology that we can strap sensors and devices on pretty much every human being on earth and gather tremendous, tremendous amounts of data and then use that data to teach us about things and to help us make our lives better and protect us and do all sorts of stuff. So I think that as these sensors improve and we're able to get them smaller, better, cheaper, we're going to be wearing devices that help us understand what our bodies are doing and what they need and how to live healthier and happier. And so for me, that's one of the most exciting areas of development.
You've gotten in such unbelievable shape. I knew you before you were in this shape, and
Yeah.
it reminds me that literally tomorrow I could start doing this.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Talk about Geek Fit.
Well, I guess it was about a year ago. It was a little less, but about a year ago, I kind of woke up and I wasn't feeling great. I just kind of felt blah. Now, one advantage that I have is that I was very, very fit earlier in my life. Being in the Marine Corps, for example.
Sure.
But not only that, I was very athletic. I did all kinds of things: rock climbing, mountain biking, all kinds of stuff. Very sporty, kind of outdoorsy guy. And I used to be really fit. And then I went through all these years and years and years of corporate work and just things that made me more lethargic. And one day I woke up and I just wasn't feeling really good. And I have a friend named Todd who's a bodybuilder, and he posted a picture of himself without his shirt on. I made a joke with him about, yeah, we should work out sometime, even though I wasn't serious about it.
Do you
And then when
lift?
he came back to me, he was like, "We really should. Why aren't you?" And it was because I was not really feeling. I physically did not feel good. I was tired all the time. My stomach seemed like it was always upset because I used to eat trash and just I didn't I could I was it just was not happy. And so when he suggested that I take this crash course with him and do this super heavy duty bodybuilding kind of routine, I was like, sure, why not? Let's do it.
Very, very cool. It's been awesome. I got to know one thing, quite honestly, because
Yeah.
I've been in good shape in my life. I played sports. I've never been ripped and shredded like you are. When you've been married for a long time,
Yeah.
when you come home and you take your shirt off and you say, Holly, I mean, take a look at this. Look,
Yeah.
look, look, come on. This is you look at the movies, you see Matthew McConaughey, you dream of that, right? Look,
Yeah.
it's right here. What does that feel like? And what is that like for her? Is she like, wow, John, I love it?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, honestly, it feels good because when I first started working out and stuff, I did have this kind of dream, if you will. I was like, I was 40. I'm 44 now. I think I turned 45 in August, I guess. So I was about 44, 43, 44, and I was like, I'm a little older, but there's a lot of guys in the movies and on TV who are really in good shape. I would like to look like Brad Pitt or somebody like that who's, a kind of a roughly my age guy, but who's viewed as being very sexy and fit. And that was kind of a dream in the beginning. And then one day, you're right. I woke up and I was standing there in the mirror and I'm like, I think I can't remember who it was. I don't think it was McConaughey, but it was one of those guys. I pulled up a picture of them and I was standing in my bathroom looking at my mirror and I looked at that picture and that's when I realized I actually look better than the movie star.
Nice.
And when you ask what does that feel like, it feels good. I'm not gonna kid you. It gives you confidence. It makes you feel like you've achieved something. It makes all the work and effort worthwhile. And luckily, Holly and I have always had a very healthy relationship. We've been married for 24 years. Every part of our relationship has always been healthy. And so, if, when I say to her, hey, you like this? She's like, ooh, yeah, I do like it. But to be honest, because of our relationship, that's not required. So
Right.
it's not like she looked at me and she was like, "Oh, I gotta attack him because he looks so good now." We've always had a healthy relationship, but certainly I can only imagine, as I guess all of us would imagine, that it would always be nice to have a partner who is sexually very attractive. If you were going to choose between someone you love who is very attractive and someone you love who is less attractive, you would always go with more. So, it doesn't hurt. Let's put it that way.
I just think, for her, it's got to be a lot of fun. And sure, it doesn't matter because she loves you unconditionally. But
Yeah,
ultimately, it's got to be, fun. At least, hey, look, you're a trophy husband now.
it's
You're
true.
John
It's
P.
true.
Trophy husband.
And there's a lot of things too that come along with the general, the appearance. There is an underlying level of fitness that backs up the appearance, right? So there's a lot more that I can do now, that anyone can do when they're really fit. I
Sure,
mean,
like bench press a
certainly,
car.
huh?
I said like bench press a car.
Yes, yes. You can physically do more work. You have better endurance, and I'm sure that translates into sexual things as well. I'm not gonna benchmark myself,
I got
before and
you're
after.
good. You're good.
But I
You're
mean,
good. You're good. I
generally
just
speaking, when we look at people who are really fit and attractive, one of the things that has to go through our mind is sexual attractiveness. There's some perception about performance and what people are capable of in general. And if you are a really highly fit and sexually attractive individual, you probably are able to do things that someone who, let's say, is extremely unfit can't do. And
sure.
so,
I'll just say this. I think that when you eat better and you exercise and you're in better shape, you just feel better in general. You're more confident. It's better in business meetings. It's better in life. It's better with your partner. It's just better in general. And that's why I am trying to get more in tune with that. I mean, look, I'm sick right now. I feel like garbage. It doesn't matter if I was, 300 pounds or if I am what I am now. I'm still feeling like garbage and it's harder to do everything. And
yeah.
so it reminds me how much better I feel when I eat right, when I exercise and all that stuff. So I think it's really important. Real quick, what kinds of things do you do to work out? Do you do circuit training at all? You ever use the rowing machine? Because I feel like that's kind of a complete workout. Do you do a lot of other things outside to be active, paddle boarding and stuff? Are you kind of a cardio and then weights guy?
Well, so my activity levels are first of all highly managed. I highly manage all of my activities, and the most important thing is that I wear a chest strap with a heart rate monitor on it, and I wear it 100% of the time when I'm working out because I'm very by the numbers kind of guy. So I have to keep an eye on what my heart's doing and keep myself in the right range so that I'm optimizing and getting the best workout. When I work out about usually when I'm not sick, I work out 4 to 5 times a week in a gym, and 100% of that is heavy weight training. So I am not about doing tons and tons of reps. I am about putting as much weight on any individual machine as I can do and only doing 8 to 10 reps, no more than 12 reps on any given weight, and doing 2 to 3 sets and moving around and doing a lot of training. I'll do a couple of days a week upper body stuff and a couple of days a week lower body stuff. And if I do a fifth day in a week, then it's a general everything. Now, on top of that, I also do some lower cardio kind of stuff. But keep in mind that the bodybuilding, weight training kind of stuff I do keeps my heart pumping really hard. I'm working very hard. And so there are cardio benefits that come with that as well. So when I'm not in the gym, I mainly am just walking because believe it or not, if I incorporate, let's say, 30 to 45 minutes of fast-paced walking each day, and I will do that 6 or 7 days a week, just 30 to 45 minutes of walking will take care of most of the body fat loss that I need to achieve. So people think that you've got to go in a gym and work really hard and lift weights or run or do all this heavy cardio stuff. No, actually, if you just get your heart rate up to about maybe 125 and keep it right there for 30 minutes a day, you would not believe how much fat you will burn just from that. But you've got to watch your heart rate. You don't want it at 140 and you don't want it at 100. It needs to be about 120, 125, and just keep it right there.
And you need to eat right. That's so important
Yeah.
too. And I know you do that a lot. All right, I want to talk about something serious right now. I'm going to take a minute to rant. You know my rants. You know how I do it. And then I'm curious your reaction. If you don't want to react, you don't have to. But I want to talk about Brian Williams. And
Do it.
you know, I worked under Brian Williams at NBC for the 2000 political conventions.
By the way,
Yep.
give for people who are not aware, give a little mini summary of what's going on as well.
Absolutely. I'm on it.
Okay.
All right. So I just want to say that I worked for NBC for the political conventions in 2000 under Brian Williams, and he was somebody I looked up to very much. What's developed in the last, I guess, 72 hours, because this went into the weekend, is that Brian basically gave an account. Brian was in the Middle East several years ago, and he gave an account of being on a chopper that was shot down by a missile, an RPG, and he gave this account several times, including on the Letterman show, and he then has defended that account being on this helicopter. The reality of the story is that he was in a chase helicopter behind it, or a tail helicopter, and that he watched this helicopter get struck and go down, and he turned this story into his own for the benefit of NBC News. We don't actually know what the reason is, but we can assume that it was for the benefit of ratings and NBC News, but he turned the story into his own. And he fought for the fact that that story is reality for years, and told this story over and over again. And sometime over the weekend, he posted something in memory of a fallen hero on Facebook and recounted this story. And I guess a soldier finally said, enough is enough, this isn't what happened, and started to fight back on Facebook. Brian Williams then said, no, you are not remembering it correctly, and said so much on Facebook, and then recanted his story, said he misremembered the situation. And I read his exact quote. He was confused. 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 You don't remember that you were on a chopper that was shot down? I think you'd never forget that. And if you were in the tail chopper, you'd never forget that either.
Let me read for you exactly the wording he said.
Please. Thank you.
I would not have chosen to make this mistake. I don't know what screwed up in my mind that caused me to conflate one aircraft with another.
I'll tell you what did it. It had to be ratings or his own ego or something, because you cannot do that. I am a journalist. I am ethical. I would never do that. Are there times where we get things wrong? Absolutely. Is it ever on purpose? It shouldn't be. It never is here. I know, John P., you never do it on purpose either. There are things that happen. Sometimes we get misinformation. Sometimes we trust the wrong people. We're human. That's fine. Apologize and move on and correct the situation. This is not that. This is a man who said he was in a chopper that went down when he wasn't in the chopper. He is insulting the armed services of the United States of America. He is insulting everybody who's ever fought for this country. And he is insulting what these men and women do to lay down their lives by lying, outright lying. And then instead of being a man and saying, I lied and I'm sorry, and resigning his position at NBC, he says, I don't know how I got confused. Really? I'll tell you something. I've been knocked unconscious many times in my life. I've been in car accidents. I've had all sorts of things happen. Luckily, I've never been in a helicopter that went down or a plane crash. I've never been in a helicopter that was shot at. But I will tell you this. I know the difference between being in a helicopter that was downed and one that landed safely, watching a helicopter that was down. This is atrocious. I've lost complete respect for Brian Williams, and I think he needs to resign his position from NBC effective immediately and apologize to the American people. And I think he's due for early retirement. This is absolutely absurd. He is not a journalist. He is not ethical. And he's every bit the reason that people hate journalism and hate journalists today and don't trust us. And there is no room for him or anybody like him in journalism. Again, this is a man I worked under, looked up to. He made me do hours and hours of research to ask one question. And I believe that this was a sincere, honest, great journalist. No. And I think he should be stripped of all of his freaking awards. He gets a Peabody. He gets a Murrow Award. He's got Emmys. He's a liar. That's what he is. John, I don't know if you want to say something, but this is unfathomable what he has done to the United States Armed Services and belittled what they do. Unreal.
Well, so I would say just two things. First of all, I have no idea what he's thinking. I like you tend to find it hard to believe that he could confuse what occurred with, fantasy. Having said that, I also, but along the same lines, I have a hard time believing it, and I think that the odds are that that's not an accurate accounting. And I have a different theory about it, which is going to be my point number two. And having said all of that, I will also add that I do not know, none of us know what is truly going on in another person's head. And for all I know, I mean, there are so many weird things that happen to humans, from Alzheimer's to psychosis. I don't know. Maybe he was very traumatized by what he saw. Like the first time you witness another human being dying in front of you, that changes your perspective on life. And I don't know. Maybe he was in some kind of a weird state of mind and things weren't clear and it was foggy. I don't know. It seems unlikely. So my second thought is much, much broader than him. Okay. I can think of, although I won't name anybody right now, I can think of several people in this world who haven't actually done jack squat, but who have claimed to do things, or who are amazing self-promoters, and who, people look up to because of what they've claimed to have accomplished, when the people who are really accomplishing things are doing so quietly and without attention and without self-promotion. And then other people who do very little, or they just want to be big. They boast about things that they've achieved that they may not have. Indeed, there are people in this world who are famous just for being famous. So I would say everyone, every day, should be more cognizant of looking for the real heroes that we know in our lives based on the things we've witnessed, the things we know that they do to help other people, and elevate them in our minds. Let's let those people be special, the ones we've actually vetted personally, because what people claim to have done and how much they claim to have helped other people, or all the big things they claim to have achieved in life or had done to them or whatever, we never really know.
You bring up good points, John. I will say this. If he's got some kind of a mental disorder, he should come forward and say that. If he had some kind of post-traumatic stress disorder, I can understand that, should come forward and say that. I don't believe that that's the case here, especially because many years later he was still telling the story up until this weekend. I think that as far as what you're saying, this is BeTerrific. We love telling positive stories, and we love highlighting, heroes, real heroes. And I think the men and women who defend our country are real heroes. And I think that people who have great stories in business and wind up starting companies that employ a lot of people, those are great stories. And we're all about that.
Yeah.
And we love to show people. We have Peter Poon's sister on, who I think is going to be a great inspiration to many people. She lost her legs in a subway accident, is walking on prosthetics a year later. We had a guy on who's wearing an exoskeleton, who served for this country, who hadn't walked in 13 years. That stuff is great. Yeah. And I don't usually call out the negative because we're all about being positive.
It's fair.
But, I can live with people. I don't like when people lie or bend the truth, but I can live with it when you do it for entertainment purposes. Entertainment, when you're an entertainer,
yes.
when you're a Mike Tyson or a Howard Stern
yes.
or whoever. I can live with that, even if you're bending the truth. I can live with you telling, maybe blowing up a story and making it a little bit bigger than it is. If you're an entertainer, being on the couch at Letterman and being like, yeah, I was at this party with Seth Rogen and he gave me 20 drinks when he only gave you 15. I can live with that. Okay?
It's storytelling.
Storytelling, right?
Yeah.
I can live with that for entertainers. I can live with that for people who have to be self-promoters, for business, stuff like that. I don't like it, but I can live with it. Yeah. I can even accept a guy like Bill Belichick who says, I don't know anything about footballs. Really? You're considered the best head coach in NFL history and you don't even know, pretend to not even know what a football looks like or what it's made out of? I could live with that, okay? I cannot live with a journalist who says he holds himself to the highest standards in ethics,
yeah.
who accepts awards, who goes on a national nightly news program and is smug and looks down on other people and sniffs out these atrocities and all sorts of lying and cheating and all that.
And does it himself.
And does it himself in the most heinous and horrible way. And it's just horrible. So I won't say another word about this. I'll let it go. Ben said in the chat room he thinks that NBC should fire him for cause. I don't disagree with that. And I will say this. We only talk about positive stuff on BeTerrific. So we only will. But it hurts me. It really hurts me, and it disappoints me, and it hurts me as a journalist as well. And so I had to say something, and it hurts me because my grandfather served, and I know what it means to serve and what all these people do to lay down their lives. And if he was really in an attack or even in a chase helicopter, it's scary and it's unbelievable. And going over there and to report, to lay down your life potentially, to report when he has a young family at home. I've interviewed his daughter, seems like a lovely girl. That takes a lot of chutzpah, right? It takes a lot of kahunas. It takes a lot to do that and to put your life on the line to do that. You don't need to do anything else. You don't need to get extra accolades by saying I was shot down when I wasn't. That alone takes a lot. And there are a lot of people who have lost their lives reporting.
Yes.
And those are heroes. Don't make up a story.
I agree. And what bothers me the most is that if you accept a responsibility to go and be an embedded journalist, then your responsibility, in my opinion, is to two things. Number one, the accurate historical accounting of events. That's what you do as an embedded journalist in a military operation. You are there to responsibly document history. And number two, and a far number two, but number two is if there is positive attention to come out of it, that spotlight that you wield should be turned on the actual people who are there doing things heroically. You should not take that spotlight and turn it on yourself. So that's my biggest problem. Even if he was in a helicopter that had those things being done, why was the story not about I was in this experience? That's not what you're there for.
Right.
It should have been like the unbelievable pilot who saved our lives, you know, and things like that.
Or the helicopter that the way it came down,
Yeah.
saved our lives or whatever, and getting the accounts of the pilot and the other crew members. Absolutely. Not that he can't say that he was an eyewitness to this, or if
Yeah.
he was in it, not that he can't say that he was in it and it was scary as hell and give an eyewitness account of what it was like.
Right.
But he should then be, yes, going, these guys are heroes, and
You gotta
talking
turn the
to them.
spotlight.
Yeah.
Turn the spotlight around
Yes,
as fast as possible.
And I agree that it is to tell the truth, especially when you're there. You have no greater responsibility than to tell the truth in those situations. It's so important. I did a 9/11 story 10 years later, looking back, that it won an Emmy, but it followed a New York Post photographer who went in as everybody was rushing out to capture the moments, and that is so important. And I just wanted to tell why this guy was a hero, because he risked his life to go in so that future generations can actually understand the depth of what happened and to see the despair, and really get the full picture, so that my son Jack, who I love dearly, would know, and his kids would know, and future generations would really know. And so there is valor in that kind of stuff, but you're there to tell the truth, and it's very important, and you have a great responsibility. And if you're going to accept that challenge, you have to do it greatly. And so I appreciate you weighing in on it and giving some good insight. I think that it's unfortunate. I think that at times when you're promoting businesses, you can do all this entertaining and whatever, but not in news. It's not the way to do it. John, you've been so gracious, and you've been great, and I can't thank you enough. I hope you're not a stranger to the program, and you come on a lot. I know that we're going to continue to do a lot together, and I'm excited about that. And I'm excited about syndicating stuff to you guys and getting it all to the geek audience that is amazing and ferocious and great. And I want to say hello to all of them, especially the guys watching in the chat room, Sweeney, Digital Phil, Paul Dixon, Ben, Brian, all you guys. You're all amazing. I saw Dave Foster in there before. And to you and Callie, you've built an amazing organization that does some really great things. Thank you for letting us be part of it and including us, and for building it. It's really awesome.
Well, thanks. I'm always happy to, and I look forward to many more of these little sessions.
Yes, absolutely, John. Thank you so much. You have a great day, and we look forward to having Callie on Monday. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Stay warm up there.
All right. That is the trophy husband, John P. from GeekBeat, and we will try to stay warm. It's freaking freezing here. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care.
I'm Michael Artsis. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back right after this to wrap this up in a nice little bow.
At BeTerrific, we do a lot of events and bring you a lot of great coverage. But we need to spread the word about BeTerrific, and you guys do a great job of doing that for us. We really appreciate that. But to do it fully, we need branding. And when we do these events, we need to be able to set up quickly and easily and have a home base, to be able to create a set, protect our gear, and shield our talent from lights of the event we're in, so we can add our own lighting and hang our cameras. We've teamed up with EasyUp to do that for Comic-Con and going forward. They gave us a great shelter that takes no time to set up and also is toolless. It's phenomenal and it's reasonably priced. So whether you have a production company, a media house, or you want to just sell some products at an event, what you need is an EasyUp top. An EasyUp top is phenomenal. You can do all sorts of branding. You can add side rails like we have. You can add a back wall like we have. And you'll get aerial branding, on the ground branding, and a place to put all your stuff, protect your team, and call home. It's perfect. What you want to do is go to easyup.com. That's easyup.com. Talk to Wayne Dove. He's a sales guy there. He's amazing. He's become a good friend, and he took good care of us. He's the one who got us our tent. They've got great people there, they've got a great team, and they've got a great, rich, storied history. There's no better shelter, there's no faster shelter than EasyUp. It sets up in minutes, it's fire tested and fire rated, and it's fire retardant. They're really, really structurally sound, and they look beautiful. How could you beat that? Oh yeah, I forgot. They're reasonably priced. So that's the kicker. Go to easyup.com. Tell Wayne that BeTerrific sent you. They'll take good care of you, don't worry, and have your company represented well at your next event. And it only takes minutes to set up and break down and then set up again. Look how amazing it looks. I am so excited about this. Thank you, Easy Up.
Rode microphones are the official microphones of BeTerrific. Find out more at rodemic.com. Welcome back to the Michael Artsis Show. I'm Michael Artsis. Thanks so much for joining us. So that was John P. from GeekBeat. He was amazing. So we got to get him on again. I wanted to, like, in the future we could talk a lot more tech and a lot more, things that are going on in the world, but I wanted to talk about GeekBeat. It's a wonderful community. I want to tell the story from his perspective and tell a little bit about him. We're going to have Callie on Monday. We'll talk more to her about her vision for GeekBeat and how it became and her story. I'm excited about that. And I want to say this. We're really excited to be doing Toy Fair from the 14th of February to the 17th of February. That's just next weekend, right? And don't forget Valentine's Day is the 14th. We're going to be syndicating that to GeekBeat as well. So, as well as a lot of other programs in the future. So I want you to, remember that, mark it down in your calendar. I want to thank all you guys for watching. I hope you, the feedback so far is that it was great. So I hope you felt that it was, and I want to thank you all for being in both our IRC chat underneath BeTerrific.com/live, our video player underneath there's a chat, and then, of course, the GeekBeat IRC chat as well. Now, if you want to join our IRC chat, you can create a login. We have a new IRC chat, which is underneath that BeTerrific.com/live. You can log in, create a login, and then just use that from time to time. And then, of course, you can use an app like I do. I use Textual on my Mac. There are a bunch of different ones out there. So that would be cool. Of course, you can connect with us on Twitter and Instagram at BeTerrificTV. And you can also get us at connect@BeTerrific.com. You know what? I'm going to give out the phone number, 201-735-7711. 201-735-7711, just in case you're old school like me and like calling on the phone. Emailing is so, weird, right? Calling, I love it. It's the best technology in the world, the best communication tool. I can pick up a phone, call you. If I don't get you, I can either leave a message or I can call you back. And I know if I haven't gotten you, that way I don't have all these emails. It could be in junk mail, it could be here, it could have gotten lost in the in the fill of emails. Such a weird technology, but calling works so well. So don't be afraid to call, 201-735-7711. Of course, connect@BeTerrific.com, at BeTerrificTV on Twitter and Instagram, and of course, we've got the IRC chat underneath our video player on the BeTerrific.com/live page. So much going on, so much that we're working on for you guys, and we're so excited about it. We've got to get Raw on. I think that we're in the chat before. I think JT hooked that up. Poon, we got to make this happen. I want to know their story and find out about this drink. I'm excited for that. And, Toy Fair is going to be unbelievable. We've got a lot of other stuff behind that going on. And then, of course, next week, we've got a lot of other great guests. So I'm excited. Thank you guys so much for watching. For everyone here, including Peter Poon, who worked so tirelessly through all our tech issues today, including sound and getting to live stream. We had some issues. We had to change gear. So thank you for bearing with that. But thank you to Peter Poon, who's done an amazing job here today. And, of course, the entire crew here who works so tirelessly behind the scenes, the unsung heroes of BeTerrific. Thank you for watching. We do BeTerrific, positive live and non-live original programming in tech, sports, business, and entertainment for you. Until next time, I'm Michael Artsis. Thanks for watching. On behalf of everyone here, BeTerrific.